Hi, my name is Drew Pomeroy, and welcome to this beginner-friendly series on learning RStudio and Shiny Apps IO for athlete monitoring. In this series, we'll be exploring how to create a dynamic and user-friendly web application to monitor athletic performance, specifically focusing on baseball players. Alright, so in the last video, we covered what is RShiny, what are the Shiny apps, how do we download R, how do we download RStudio, how do we create a Shiny Apps account, how do we link all of that together. And we actually started a new project, wrote a little bit of code to read in our libraries and connect our Google Sheets account where we're going to be getting raw data from. So in this video, what we're going to do is actually go over the UI code. I think I might save the server code and actually publishing the app for the video after that, but want to dedicate the time for us to understand how to write each piece of the code effectively and troubleshoot any bugs along the way. You'll see me mess up a couple of times, and then later on in the video or the next one, I go back and update those things, and I'll actually come back and add a new piece of code in there that really allows the publishing to work with Google Sheets or your Google Drive. So I hope you like it, and here we go. All right, let's go into the code structure for the Shiny application. So really there's three parts: your UI code, the server code, and then actually running the application. So I like to run all those three separately. I suppose you could run them all at the same time and just have everything go, but let's describe them separately right now. So first is going to be the UI code. So here we define the UI for the Shiny app. The UI code defines the layout and appearances of the Shiny app. For us, this is going to include a title panel with the app's title, a sidebar with drop-down menus for selecting a player and an event ID, and then a main panel with headers and placeholders displaying the selected player's details and assessment scores. Now, the server code defines how your Shiny app responds to user interactions. It updates the UI dynamically based on the player and event selections made by the user. So we're going to use things like the observe function, which monitors changes in the input for the player name to update and also update the event ID dropdown. There's going to be reactive expressions, which compute filtered data and player data based on these selections. And then there's going to be some render text functions, which update the corresponding text outputs in the UI with formatted text based on the filtered data. So this reactive approach ensures that your app remains responsive and updates in real time as users are interacting with it. Then we've got the run application that we see here, very simple code. So what does this do? UI is the argument that expects the UI definition of your Shiny app. It includes all of the components that make up the user interface, such as input controls, drop-downs and buttons, and output elements, text displays, and plots. The server, this argument expects the server-side logic of your Shiny app. It defines how the app reacts to user inputs, processes data, and updates the UI dynamically based on these interactions. So in this specific use case, we combine the UI defined with fluid page, sidebar layout, and various input-output elements with the server logic that filters and displays assessment data based on user selections. This allows us to create that interactive dashboard where users can select players and events to view detailed assessment scores in real time. Let's go ahead and define the UI for the Shiny app. So how we're going to start this out with is we're going to type UI. I'm going to read into that. So we're going to use fluid page, which is a part of the Shiny package. And I want to go to the title panel. You can see that pops up here as well. And then we're actually going to, right in here, just type in what we want this to be displayed as. So I'm going to say player assessment dashboard. And I'm going to go outside of here. I'm now going to add a comma. And let's start looking into our sidebar layout that we want, because we do want that player name drop down and we want that event ID list. So I'm going to go ahead and say sidebar layout. And in here, I want to look specifically into the sidebar panel. Sidebar panel, which is going to give me now the drop down for full name. So let's just comment this out, so that way we know exactly what's going on. I can't stress enough how important it is to do this. It just helps you so much. You can get lost in so many different areas. So just please use those. So the select input, again, that is offered by the Shiny package. What we're gonna put in here, the column name that I had was called player name. It's get outside of that. And then what do I want it to say? I want it to say select player name within the UI. Let me go here because I want that to also have a colon. Then what we're gonna do, I want the choices to be unique, right? Because I have, if you remember in the, let's go here, in this data, you can see I have 2 events for each athlete. So what's gonna be important is the ability to only pick the unique names and then read off of the event ID itself. So for here, I'm gonna say choices and equals unique. So pretty easy here. Unique, I want to look into new assessment. We're gonna use the $. And this is actually looking into new assessment, right? Now this is giving me the list of every column that shows up, and you can see they're all capitalized, right? Remember we did that earlier. So this is a good way to be able to view it to make sure that everything is all right. But we've got a ton of things in here. So for here, this one's actually gonna be full name. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that. And we're gonna move on to our next piece that we will comment out. So this one is gonna be the drop down for event ID based on selected player. So what we're gonna do here is select input, and then I want that to be event ID. So that's the input ID, and then our label is going to be select event ID. Put that on the end, and the comma goes there. Choices is going to be null. All right. So null. From here, we're gonna head down. I'm gonna put another comma here because this one aligns with my sidebar panel. You see when you click on any parentheses in here, it kind of shows you where everything lines up to, so you know exactly where you're going and everything you're selecting. So really, really nice in that way. Now, I want to go to, you know, that section that we had earlier. I wish I could pull it up right now. So everything that we just did was the title and the sidebar layouts and panels and drop downs. To the right of that is where the information actually populated. So what I'm gonna do is go in and fill all of that out. So let's go, I believe it's main panel. And we are going to, got it. Let's go H3. So what is H3? That is just header 3, right? It just makes it, it's just the UI for the header itself. We're gonna call this player details. All right, and boom, we'll just comment this in here. H3 denotes section headings. That's a good description. So now we want the text output. What do I want this to be? Let's get the age group in. I'm gonna go age group. We're gonna have a break, so that's just BR. And then we put the comma afterwards. And then again, I'm gonna use header 3, so they're the same size. And I want my assessment scores to come through. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. The comma goes here. And then what are all these text outputs that we're gonna have? So we are gonna be using text output. Here we go. Text output. Now, if you remember from my raw data, let's head back into that. I'm gonna scroll all the way to the end of this. So at the end, when everything gets capitalized, we have the movement score, the lower body power score, upper body power score, rotational power score, overall categories, and I've got kind of a ratio of things going on over here. But I do a lot of the calculations within this. Sorry, you don't have them, you just have the raw data. But I want these category scores to come out because all of these, like right, the bilateral CMJ, the 10.5 jump height, we've got med ball slams, we've got straight leg raise, we've got all of that stuff. All that data is in here. Shoulder external rotation left, right? This is shoulder external rotation right. I take all of that and I put it into these category scores based off percentiles within the player's age group. So all of that calculation is already done, so you guys don't have to do it. But yeah, I want to make sure that I'm pulling out these category scores. That's what I care about. How are they comparing to their age groups? So we'll go ahead. The text output that I want is going to be movement score for one of them. Go ahead, comma. Again, text output. And this one is going to be lower body power score. Next one, text output, upper body power score. Body power score, comma, text output. Man, really wish that was the first one that popped up. After upper body, we're gonna do rotational power score. And then we are going to get text output one more time. Whoops, wrong one. Text output, and this one is going to be overall score. All right, there. We are then going to put in another break. And 1, 2, 3. That should be the end of our code. So let's see now if we did that all correctly. So I'll just throw in my cursor up here. Go ahead and enter. Error in mail panel. H3 player details text output age group break could not find function mail panel. So let's go ahead and look at this mail panel. This is supposed to be main panel, and why that didn't show up. Let's go ahead and run that again, and we are good to go. So that happens a lot where you misspell something, and it's really nice that it gives you kind of a log down here at the bottom of where things could go wrong. So that was how we set up the UI itself. Next, we're gonna write the server logic, and then we'll actually be able to run the app, and we'll have version 1 done today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay updated on the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.